Welcome to Odd Man Out, where this week Harrison and I are going to be convincing James to play Saints Row the Third.
Yes.
All right, and I'm Faust, and I'm going to get started by saying Saints Row the Third was released by Volition on November 15th, 2011, so it's not a new game in any way, shape, or form. And also point out that James is, in fact, aware of and has played the opening tutorial of Saints Row the Third.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
Okay. So it was released for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, was on Windows, apparently had a Linux release as well.
That just happened this year.
April
2016.
So, yeah, developer Volition, publisher THQ, is listed as the ever popular action adventure. And we'll just kind of get rid of we'll stop the official information there and just say, so James, you have played this game.
A little bit of it.
You're familiar with the basic concepts of the gameplay. Have you played the more modern Grand Theft Autos, possibly 5, 4? How about
I've seen my friend play Grand Theft Auto 5.
How about the PS2 era ones, the San Andreas and Vice City? And
I played the Grand Theft Auto for PlayStation 2 or 3, the one where you could do a cheat code and get a tank.
Okay, that's 3 San Andreas or Vice City.
Yeah.
Really.
So 3. I think it was 3.
All right. So Grand Theft Auto 3. So you remember it's kind of basically this big sandbox with a city and you drive around in it.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
It has essentially these sort of themed missions.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 3, they weren't exactly very varied. It was always involving driving somewhere and shooting somebody. But they got a little more creative with it in Vice City and San Andreas. That's the Grand Theft Auto series.
Cool.
When Saints Row originally came out, it was kind of a more serious take on the whole gang situation, kind of like playing off of what San Andreas originally established.
Okay.
And took a very serious edge to it. But then Saints Row 2 came out, and they decided to go completely zany and madcap with it.
So what made them change their mind? Were they not getting enough people playing the first game?
Yeah, essentially, nobody really talks about Saints Row. They always start talking about Saints Row 2.
Okay.
And Saints Row 2 was still semi-serious.
It still did, yeah. It had some really dark moments, too.
A lot of people say that Saints Row 2 is the best game that they've tried, at least the people I talk to.
Well,
I mean, it's really a matter of personal opinion. To tell you the truth, I would say that Saints Row 3 is probably the strongest of the series.
yes.
Is it serious or silly?
It's silly.
It's silly.
And it is very, very intentionally silly. Like, it's a game where you can make this really hard-ass looking character of any gender, really, and dress it up however you like, even naked, and then run around hitting pedestrians, picking their pockets and then hitting them with a 6-foot-long purple dildo.
Okay.
You know, it's a game where regularly you are sucked into a mini game where you have to take on and take out mascots, like the big dressed up in suits kind of mascots, and those are dotted around everywhere. It's a robust crowd system, a robust traffic system. The cars handle really well. The city itself is very well designed.
There's jets you can fly.
There's flying mechanics to it.
Got it.
Yeah.
And every single one of these aspects has some sort of themed mission around it, or some sort of way that you can earn in-game currency and in-game credit to keep playing more of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you buy better skills, buy better cars, and it's basically a self-aware version of the what's the series? What did you just say
Grand
here
Theft
before?
Auto?
Grand Theft Auto. Yeah.
So it's more self-referential than Grand Theft Auto.
So why would I want to play this game, though?
So essentially what it is, it starts off like this pretty much in an Saints Row game, but you are the leader of what is known as the Third Street Saints. You are called simply the boss. You don't really have a name or anything like that. You're just called the boss. You are given the chance to redesign yourself in every single game, and they have really creative ways of justifying that.
Okay.
And then you go about basically in at least 2, 3, and 4 that I have played. The Saints themselves usually find themselves in some way on top.
And then get knocked down to the bottom.
And they get knocked down to the bottom in some way, shape, or form and have to rebuild the gang and rebuild their credit to take over the city and establish.
So like a typical superhero, they lose their powers and you go throughout the game getting their powers back.
Right, or stardom. You know,
it's more fame and things like that.
Okay.
So, in specifically Saints Row the Third Street Saints, after the events of Saints Row 2, find themselves as basically the cream of the crop, the head of the thing, the gang in charge of their original city of, what is it called? Stillwater.
And they have like superstar status, like Bonnie and Clyde.
They basically became pop idols.
Yeah,
like they have an energy drink named after them. They have a clothing line and a store named after them. They're basically at that point pop stars.
So they're like way on the top of, on this pedestal, and then they get knocked down.
Correct.
Yeah,
and they have to climb back up.
So essentially, a rival gang shows up and says, "Give us all of your stuff, or we're going to destroy you." At which point, it basically turns in. They kill a rather integral character to the series.
Right. Well, the game actually starts as they are robbing a bank to promote a movie called Saints Row the movie. Mm-hmm. So they are actually doing a bank heist, and they get caught, and that's what gets one of the main characters killed. Mm-hmm. It's by the Syndicate, which is another criminal enterprise.
And then so the plane basically crashes over the city that the Syndicate rules, called Steelport.
Okay.
And it is your task to basically remove the Syndicate and then remove the other rival gangs and take over Steelport as well as maintain. And Stillwater doesn't really enter into it anymore.
Gotcha.
Right. And they end up, building up a team and whatnot. And basically, there's a lot of pop references. There's a vengeance in Saints Row the Third, and basically a lot of silly kooky kind of things. So the best side mission that I could point out, the one thing that you would probably want to do would be the trainings with the luchador wrestler.
Okay.
Because one of the gang leaders, the gangs themselves are luchadors, and the gang leader is this very popular luchador wrestler. And the only way to remove him from power is to remove his mask, which means you have to win against him in a fight, basically. Mm-hmm. And so you go to the only other luchador that's available to train you, and he does the whole Mr. Miyagi thing of I don't really train anymore, yada yada yada, and the Rocky Mr. Miyagi kind of thing. And then he, in order to train you, pretty much every training mission is him putting you in a car with a tiger, and you have to like race around through checkpoints in a time limit while this tiger is taking swipes at you. And the only way to keep it from really hurting you is to keep going as fast as you possibly can.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like making fun of like VR type games. Basically, they have like a VR mission where you're basically in the computer and you're hacking, and
it's basically the light cycles from Tron.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like that Metal Gear Solid VR game?
No,
that was terrible.
No, it's more of a kind of a like your sort of typical 90s Tron kind of universe. So it's very like black glassy and neon edges to everything. And actually the final boss fight in that gang leader is actually really cool too.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is more of a casual game then.
I mean, you can play it casually. You can load it up and play as much as you want and save and go back whenever you want to.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you can actually play it co-op with somebody else even.
You can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it down because I had another game at the time that took my interest.
And overall, it's like, the story is very compelling. It's very fun to follow. It's very enjoyable. It's not, it's not serious, even though you're growing up, you're beating people up and everything. You're trying to take over gangs and everything like that. And at the end, it's like culminates into you're filming a movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it doesn't feel like the Grand Theft Autos where I eventually get bored because it seems like the same repetitive thing over and over again. Yeah,
the big cutoff between Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row would be, and in Saints Row, any Saints Row really, you are the leader of a gang. And regardless of how powerful that gang is, you are always the leader. You are always doing what you can to make sure the game is promoted and ends up on top. Whereas in any given Grand Theft Auto, you are usually some schlub who ends up involved in criminal elements. And the only way that they end up getting into any real power is doing all the missions for somebody and then killing them. Mm-hmm. And that's every Grand Theft Auto for every reason. It's like you do something with you wonder if it gets to the point with any Grand Theft Auto protagonist where people are like, no, I don't have a job for you because if you do all the work for me, you're going to kill me.
You're going to kill me. No thanks.
So Grand Theft Auto does play it a lot. They tried playing it straight edged with Grand Theft Auto 4. That never really worked. Grand Theft Auto 5 apparently did some things right for some people, having multiple protagonists.
I just like watching my friend die a lot when he played it.
But that's
wasted.
That's the thing, is it almost always degenerates into how much can I mess with the system in front of me? How much can I, run over pedestrians and destroy cars
steal
and
a
get in
jet,
trouble with the car?
go into a base, steal a tank?
Yeah, that kind of thing. How much can I mess with things? And Saints Row is designed around messing with things, whereas Grand Theft Auto kind of expects you to operate in some form of reasonable behavior. Saints Row expects you to run around naked and steal jets and crash into old grannies and
go in, get a sex change in the middle of a game.
Yeah,
you dress up in female clothes if you want to and run around like an idiot.
I think it was Saints Row 3. You could basically make yourself a zombie.
That's kind of cool.
Complete with zombie voice.
I want a zombie.
They recorded voice lines.
All right.
Yeah.
So overall, it's been, it's a great sandbox game, full of humor, full of self-awareness. The whole series is from Saints Row on forward. Saints Row 3 is a good introduction to the zaniness because they just ratchet up the absurdness because they end up having, Saints Row 4, you become the president and then you're fighting aliens.
I saw him play that too.
It was very Saints Row 4. It's basically every sequential Saints Row game is about being more zany and more over the top than the last one. Mm-hmm. So Saints Row, the original one, was very kind of straight-laced, sandboxy, sort of Grand Theft Auto-y, like let's be serious. And then Saints Row 2 kind of pushed that out of the way and said, let's be a little more funny. Let's still be about gangs and taking over gang structures, but there's drug-related missions. There's missions where you run around with a septic truck and spray poo everywhere. There's there's the missions where the
Genki Bowl, where basically you're on a time limit. It's kind of like Smash TV or like American Gladiators, and you have to make it through like an obstacle course and hitting people with bats or a limited amount of guns and get through.
And that's the mascots. They're all dressed as mascots and shooting at you, and
and it's billed as a TV show, but it's like almost like playing like Gamer the movie. Basically, it's like
So the whole thing of this game, the third one, is they're filming a movie. So the whole thing feels like they're filming a movie instead of just doing something.
No, the movie comes in as the beginning and at the end.
Oh,
beginning and at the end.
Otherwise, it really does feel like you're basically you start at the bottom and you work your way up to taking over the whole city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even having the anti-gang force or the military get involved too. It becomes like a big old three-way brawl at times on crazy things, and the missions can get just absurd.
All right.
And there's a whole bunch of like wonderful side stuff in here. This is one that's enjoyable to explore.
Yeah, there's customizations for your character. There are fashion. For every car that you get, you can take it to a garage and just trick it out completely. Give it hydraulics and NOS and, make it shiny in any color that you want and, change the rims, change the tires. It's just this very, very deep level of customization for that. You can choose because the more of the city you take over, the more your gang members show up, just random NPCs that will fight for you if anything happens. Okay. And you can customize how those people look. They could look like ninjas or just your average thug gang or just whatever you can think of.
All right.
Yeah. Overall, so is this a game that you would think about going back to and playing again?
I might, yeah.
Okay. Well, if you haven't played this game or don't own it, the game is typically $20 on Steam to get Saints Row the Third, the full package, which includes all the DLC and includes all the costumes and everything else for $20. Or you could just buy the game for $15 without the add-ons.
And of course, it's one of the games that's usually included in lots of sales.
Someone gave it to me as a gift.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But again, could be single player, or you could do it co-op.
I might do co-op if someone's willing to do that with me.
Maybe
something to consider.
Yeah,
definitely.
But we really think it holds up for being at this point a 5-year-old game.
No, we're glad you agree with us. Yeah, it does. It has aged really well.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Odd Man Out for this week, and of course we have just managed to convince James to play Saints Row 3. If you like what we're doing here, of course, give us a like, comment, or subscribe, and let us know what you think. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the music's usually pretty upbeat between the levels, and they have different types of music, and some of it can be very dramatic. Like, again, they don't make this one anymore, but I like it. You can still